Alright guys, so this is a 3500 Chevy Duramax express truck, utility body. I'm attempting to do a water pump on it. So far I got it was held on by one screw right there, the air box. Then I took the intercooler line off, which is right here, and the antifreeze reservoir. So next thing, I'm taking the fan shroud off, and then you got to take the fan clutch off, the harmonic balance, lot of little things. So whatever I see in here, I actually might replace that alternator while I'm in here. So if you see anything in here that you should replace while this is all out, do it. The belt looks new. Looks like it was chewed up and somebody replaced it probably about a year ago. So we'll see what that looks like when it comes off, but that's where we are, and I'll continue to take shots of it and post it. But this is a basically like a van, GMC van, Chevy van, express truck. This is the Duramax diesel, if you guys are wondering. Alright guys, so without removing a whole lot here, I got that whole fan shroud out. You got your air conditioning line, which is right here, and your battery wire. There's two screws right there, and there's two screws right there. I think they're 10 millimeter. So once I got that out, it was pretty simple. You're gonna have to remove that lower one too, but I'm gonna get that one out after I move the fan clutch. So I'm gonna take this fan off, and how I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna try. I got a hammer gun with a chisel on it, so I'm gonna try to chisel it counterclockwise and see if that vibrates that nut loose. I'll try to get a picture of it. So that's where I'm at now. About 30 minutes into it. Just make sure your turbo, your intake, make sure you got all this stuff filled with rags, the intercooler. I did have a very small amount of oil blow by, which is fine. I'm gonna clean all this up. You can see a little bit of blow by right there, but I'm gonna clean all this up when I'm done. So it's going good. There's where we're trying to get to, and this bypass right here, see how bad this is. I might have to get a new one if that's pretty bad. If I could sand it down, paint it, make it look nice, I'll do that. Alright guys, so what I'm using is a Bosch hammer gun with a pointed end to actually get in here. Okay, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna put a little mark on there. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. And you're gonna vibrate your fan clutch off. Okay. So once you get that vibrate, I don't have an air chisel. Some guys use an air chisel, but I got it off with the hammer gun. You just, like I said, make a little indent and then work it. The vibration of the hammer gun will actually make that come loose. So I'm gonna basically spin it off now from the back. Alright guys, so hold the fan blade, and all you're gonna do is spin the pulley clockwise, and that'll eventually release the fan. Damage in this. Looks like they already did this. just check your fan blade for any cracks or anything like that. Be careful getting it out. I didn't want to remove the compressor, so kind of working with lines in front of me, but just be careful. So next thing, we're going to take that pulley off. Alright, shut that down. Alright guys, so now we're going to take this pulley off. There's looks like 4 bolts, 14 millimeter. We have from the actual pump, we have a screw that's underneath of that, and then this harmonic balancer, it's got to come off. So I'm going to take that off. As you see, I already got it going here. So this, I think these are 18 pounds torque when you reinstall it. When you're here, check all these, make sure the bearings are good. If they're not, obviously replace them. So this looks pretty bad, this bypass right here. So once I get that off, look at the O-ring, all that, we'll see if I have to order a new one of those. I'd rather order one. See if Napa or somebody has one. Sure, that's $100, but it's in bad shape from shit leaking. Alright guys, so all 4 bolts are out. We got these long guys that hold that on. Make sure you mark them. So you got 2 nuts and 2 through bolts. And this should pop right off. Maybe with a hammer. Alright, maybe there's another bolt. I'll have to get a mirror. But I got 4 off so far. Maybe there's a 5th bolt. So let me check underneath. Alright, thanks. Alright guys, so there's the 5th bolt. So there is 5 bolts. And this one. Probably unplug that right there too. So 5 bolts for that fan clutch pulley. Alright guys, so let's see if I get in here a little bit better. So I think this is the cam sensor. So you do have to take that off. Get that out of the way. Now this pulley, after the 5th bolt, it should slide out. Just like that. So that's what we got. And while all this stuff's out, I'm going to clean everything and spray paint it blue. Alright guys, so the last final thing before you take the harmonic balance off is the antifreeze. So push down on that and get that antifreeze out. I got a bin down there catching it. Do not reuse the antifreeze. Too much debris, it's going through dirt, everything like that. Spend the $18, $36, whatever it is, get new antifreeze, rather than put junk into your engine block and clog the ports and everything. So that's what I'm doing now. Just loosen the clamp, went around it with a screwdriver to break it, started coming out. So now I'm just going to push this off if I can. So I'll probably need 2 hands to break it with the screwdriver and push at the same time. So you kind of get the idea. And then this guy comes off next. We're going to bump start it, take it off. Alright, and there we go. That's completely off. Dumping out of the water pump. And again, we'll bump start it. It's not going to hurt anything after I get this thing off and wedged out. Alright guys, so here goes your bypass. Took them 2 bolts out. Got these pinch clamps, and I'm going to replace them with 5/16 clamps to screw down tight. Replace that piece of rubber in between. And if this is pretty bad, once I get into it and sand it down, spray it, if I could save it, I'll save it, but I might have to buy a new one. And then there's a little O-ring up in here you got to be careful with. I actually bought a new one for this pump. I got the whole pump itself. This way I'm not messing around with anything. So I still didn't take off that harmonic balance yet, so that's coming up. Alright guys, so what I did is I got a piece of 1/2-inch pipe and I got an old rotary chisel and grinded it down so it actually fits in the hole of the flywheel where your starter goes. And what I did, hopefully you can see it, is I took the starter off. I can push it up out of the way. I don't have to remove it, and get my hand in there and push this through the flywheel so that it wedges it against the aluminum body, and then I'll be able to torque that balancer nut off. So it's a little pain in the butt, but you don't have to remove the complete starter. You can just lift it out of the way, and this is going to go right up inside, and the 1/2-inch pipe is going to keep it fat enough so it doesn't really crack the aluminum. So it'll be, when it goes in, it'll be in there like that. So it's a real pain in the butt. This is why they charge so much money for this. I mean, I had to drop everything underneath, and you know, I've been on it for 4 hours so far, and I still didn't get the water pump out. Alright guys, so here we are at the bottom of the water pump. I already took this out with a 3/8 12mm ratchet. Now I got the 1/4-inch little guy on there, and I'm able to get up there without using any kind of special tool, because it, you know, it's in the way. So I bought new studs for each side, just because I saw on some videos that they snap off. So this is pretty bad anyway, and you know, there's like rubber. Somebody was in here before. It's like gasket smeared there. It was leaking. They tried doing whatever, but here's where we are. Or I should say, here's where I am. Underneath the truck. This sucks working on the ground. And then I still have it. I broke 2 1/2-inch breaker bars, so I'm gonna have to go buy a 3/4 breaker bar. I had 2 pipes on the harmonic balance, and still couldn't get that off. So it's a pain in the ass. And again, this is why they charge so much goddamn money. But me doing it myself, I know it's going to be done right. I bought the right gaskets for the new water pump. So alright guys, so after a pretty big battle, I snapped 2 1/2-inch breaker bars. So obviously don't use 1/2-inch breaker bars. Get yourself a 3/4. I picked one up at Harbor Freight. I'll show you that. And I tried going with the I have a 3 and a 4-foot fence bar, which is 1/4-inch thick. They're heavy duty steel, and I couldn't budge it. I'm gonna take a guess and say that that thing was on with 350 pounds of torque, something like that. I sprayed everything down. I smacked on it with a sledgehammer. Did everything possible just to make sure it wasn't rusted on, you know, wasn't rusted threaded with the inner bolt there. But eventually got it off. They want you to use a, I don't have a 33mm. I use that 1 7/16". There was a very, very small amount of play. Still a 12-point socket. 3/4, but yeah, don't use this one. This is 1/2-inch from Harbor Freight. I wasn't this style, but similar. I snapped that one. That was no good. But what I wound up doing is I used a 10-foot 2.5-inch steel pipe to get that off. So forget about using all the little bars. Forget about that, and trying to stay out of the sun here. So this is what I used. Harbor Freight. It was actually $21, so it wasn't bad. I mean, so worked. This didn't snap like the other ones did. So if you want a bar And actually a breaker bar that's going to work. Here's $21 Harbor Freight. It did not break, so that worked. And here's the harmonic balance. So everything worked out pretty good. Alright, so now that bolt right there is why you got to take the harmonic balance off. So now I'm gonna start taking this water pump off here and go from there. So when you take this off, be very careful that you take it out square from the front of the engine, because if there's a little bit of antifreeze in there, and you got a chance of tipping that into the oil, which you really don't want to do, and then you got to drop your oil. So be very careful taking that out. And once again, this pulley, that pulley, they're going to be replaced. You can actually grab them here. Hear that little play? So another 10,000 miles down the road, that's going to go. So, and I'm actually going to replace this alternator too. I think it was $180. I'd rather do it all now while all this bullshit's off. The hoses look good, the top hose look good, so that's all fine. So probably going to paint that, sand that down, paint it while it's all open. I did power wash the engine. That's why it looks so clean. So while it's open, power wash that, power wash the intercooler, and power wash the radiator and the transmission cooler. So anything you can have access to, get it done. So, but again, it took took two guys. I was standing on top of the truck with a 10-foot, 2.5-inch steel pipe to break this. So forget about the 3 to 5 footer or 6 footer. Go right to a 10-foot, 2.5-inch steel pipe to break this thing. It's the only way you're going to get it off. And pay attention to the torque. I don't have a torque wrench. I got a torque wrench that goes to 170 pounds per foot. So I'll use that to put it on, and then I'm going to get that 10-foot bar, and I'm going to finish up with that. I kind of know the torque that it has to go to, so that's what you're going to put that back on with. And don't forget to put your starter back in. Pull that. Whatever, if you I had to, like I said in the video, I had to make up a shim to go through the flywheel, through the threaded hole in the flywheel, and then I slipped a piece of that 1/2-inch pipe so it wasn't just a narrow piece of steel on that aluminum, because you could, with that kind of pressure, you can actually break the starter body, well, not starter body, but the aluminum body where the starter actually mounts to. So just make sure you make that a little thick. Alright, and then I'm going to take that off, and I think there's 3 bolts on that, so that's what I'm going to do now. Alright guys, so here's the book that I got for the Duramax. Pretty helpful. A couple things in there that really helpful. And here's the new water pump. The sun's killing me, but I painted it blue. It does not have the metal impeller. For whatever reason, they only come with the plastic on this model. 06. 2006. I called a couple places, and even you know, the local places said that they're all plastic impellers. So here. Alright, so you could get all these from the top. You don't have to get down on the bottom. I want to pull my tarp out, but it's the last screw. So there's 3, one on the right, one on the left, one on the top. And once you pop these screws out, give it a little bang with a rubber mallet, and that water pump will come right out. All this goddamn bullshit for this freaking thing. Alright guys, so here all the bolts are out. Just gonna kind of give it a little tap, little pry here. Be careful. Maybe not. Here's that O-ring. Buy new O-rings. Alright, let's turn that off. Let me see. Alright guys, so what I did underneath, you got to pry that the lower radiator hose mounting area where it goes into the engine off. Sure that goes on top there. And like I said, grab it from the top, kind of wiggle it out. You're gonna have some antifreeze in there, but try not to get anything in the engine, otherwise you'll be changing the oil. So pull it, it's gonna have some in there. Again, that one piece is stuck underneath, so I'm gonna go under. Alright, you can turn that off. That's it. Alright guys, so it's out. It's got to come out evenly on the bottom. And it wasn't. So there it is. I'm going to take it apart and we'll see what the heck's going on with it. Why that failed. And I can tell you right now, somebody put a gasket on this or something. There's a gasket here, here, and here. So I don't know why they would put an extra gasket on top. Maybe that's why it failed. But there's where it was leaking from. You could see it, the weep hole. Alright, hey guys, so here's the new water pump. I did coat it blue. It's my trademark. But look at the inside of this. Okay, nice and smooth. Everything looks good, clean. Now I want you to look at this. Look at this. Look at the inside of that. That's a cast, a bad cast. Why would you put something in there that looks like that? Look at the edges. I mean, look at the edges here. This is I got this from Gates, so be careful where you buy these pumps from. You don't want to do this again. I mean, that's pretty bad. I mean, look at that. That's resistance with water flow, antifreeze flow. It's just overall, this thing just looks nasty. I mean, the whole entire thing. And again, I don't recommend putting no gasket on there. That's why they got that rubber. Look at that. They stuck something there. I mean, this was probably done like 2 years ago on the truck. Here I am doing it again. So whoever did this didn't know what the hell they were doing, and they bought inferior parts. I mean, that's pretty bad. Look at that. All the way through. I mean, this cast here, this is clean as a whistle. I mean, it all looks good. Alright guys, so here's the studs that I got. Just buy new, I mean, if you can, if you can afford it. Not everybody can. I mean, these weren't too bad. I think these were like $6 a piece. These studs. So what I'm going to do, just going to insert them here. You can put, I'm going to put Loctite, or actually leak lock. So I'll put leak lock on them because I really don't want them to come out. So I'll put leak lock on them and screw them down, and then these will be in there forever. But what I also did is I got the O-ring for the bypass. So Merchant Automotive is where I got all this stuff. Way better quality stuff than anything I've seen on the internet. And then I also got to get the this is the gasket kit that came with it. Here goes that paper gasket. So instead of putting that paper gasket on from Merchant, I actually ordered this. This is a metal gasket that goes onto the bottom of the water pump. So this is going to go right on here and sit on there like that. So that'll crush into it, and there's your gasket. I really don't like the paper gaskets. Some people use them and they put mastic on them, or they put, you know, make a gasket on them. But look, nice, clean, done. What I just did underneath is on the other end, I got a razor blade, cleaned the old gasket off, and then I got sandpaper and sanded this down. So make sure you do that. You want a good seal, that's what you got to do. Take your time, put it on, because I don't have to tell you how hard this is to get the job done. Remove it, replace it. Here's the other thing with this. A lot of guys say, oh, you know, this should be welded, because, well, this has a plastic impeller. This ain't going to do nothing. And the reason why guys are welding them, even with the metal impeller, is because they're increasing their horsepower. This is a work truck. I'm not increasing horsepower. I don't need, you know, this gear spinning faster than factory setting is. So I'm not going to have that issue. Now, if you're torquing up and you're putting, you know, all kind of crap on it, mufflers and tuners and everything on your Duramax, well, guess what? Get it welded, or buy the welded one. And, you know, if you can, get the one with the metal impeller if you can. But I don't need it. Don't really care about it. So that's it. So I'm going to get this all together, put it all back. I don't know if you guys want me to show you putting everything back, but this is it. Alright guys, so just using some oil, rub it around that gasket, both sides. Got my threaded them in, new stud sticking out, and I got that metal gasket on here. And here's that other gasket that you got to be very careful with, and that's going to get oiled up also. And there is a way you want to try to actually get it level to get it in there. So this was all rusty, sanded that down, painted it. You got it out, do it, because I'm sure by now you heard me say it 100 times. You know how I feel about this painted up butt crap. Alright guys, so water pump is in. Painted it blue. It'll help with the corrosion. I torqued the 3 screws down at 18 pounds of torque, so don't over torque them and don't under torque them. So alright, be careful. So there you go. I'm getting ready to put the harmonic balance back on. When you do the harmonic balance, keep a note, get underneath. Now the flywheel is obviously going to spin the other way, so you're going to have to hold it until the flywheel makes it turn back. That whatever you got shimmed in there is going to become loose until you torque it clockwise. So keep note of that, otherwise it'll fall off. And again, you don't have to remove the entire starter, just get it out of the way. Drop the 2 bolts and leave it hang. I don't think you need me to go over putting everything back together. We just went over that. Maybe I will. Wow. I mean, it's pretty easy. Just lube that bypass tube up with that new gasket in there, and just be real careful. Try to get it as flat as you can on the bottom there. So, and I'm actually going to take those off next and replace them. Idler pulley. So That's pretty much it, guys. Anything you can clean up, replace while it's open, do it. That's going to be the end of this video. It was a pain in the ass. Like I said, I used a 10-foot, 2.5-inch steel pipe to break that. Alright guys, so everything's back on. Got the harmonic balance back on. It's all torqued to 270 pound torque. So it was a little bit of a pain. So I pulled those pulleys. You see the studs, I took those off. I'm gonna pick them up tomorrow. So while I'm at it, I'm just gonna change that alternator. I'm actually spinning it. I could hear a little bit of noise, so the bearings will be going on that shortly. But once again, you can't just pull these out. I got to take this bracket out because I'm wedged in there, as you can see. So the whole thing's got to come out. Nothing easy about this freaking truck, man. It's working on diesels compared to gas engines. Gas engines are way easier. So, well, I guess if you want to run with the big boys, you got to learn how to do it. So, save a lot of money regardless doing it yourself. If you don't know what you're doing, make sure you take it to somebody who does, because you can screw a lot of things up. That tensioner actually looks pretty new. So that was replaced maybe 2 years ago. It looks like 3 years ago. By the way, I just bought this truck if you didn't watch my videos, so just take a quick peek. So, Duramax diesel. So I'm going to continue on. So I got probably 12 hours on this freaking job, and I'm still not done. I actually got to get a piece of 1/2-inch hose too for the bypass, which is right there.